We've just learned how to use the slope formula to help us find the slope of a line when we are given 2 points. Sometimes you must complete the ordered pairs using a given slope. For example, if the slope of the line passes through the points -5, 6 and 5, y, and the slope is -4/5, we might need to find y. We're going to use the slope formula just as we've done before, but it will look a little different when we solve this. This is a little bit more difficult. Remember that the slope formula says you take the y value from the second point minus the y value from the first point, divided by the x value from your second point, minus your x value from your first point. Let's work through this. The first point is -5, 6, and the second point is 5, y. So we take y minus 6, which are our y values, divided by 5 minus -5, which are our x values. Remember that 5 minus -5 is 5 plus 5. We are given what the slope is. We know this slope is supposed to equal -4/5. So -4/5 is equal to y minus 6 over 5 plus 5, which is 10. At this point, we have what's known as a proportion, which I'm sure you did several of these in 8th grade math. A proportion is when you have a ratio or a fraction equivalent to another ratio or fraction. And solving this can be quite simple. Remember, we do the cross products. You may have called it the butterfly or something cute like that, but it's really just a matter of multiplying from top left to bottom right, -4 times 10, which is -40. And then on the other side of the equation, we can go from bottom left to top right and multiply 5 times y minus 6. You just need to be careful that the 5 gets multiplied by the y minus 6 in total. So 5 times y and 5 times minus 6, which gives us 5y minus 30. So now we have this equation to solve. -40 equals 5y minus 30. Can you tell what has been done to get to the next line? The minus 30 is gone. So what has happened is how do you get rid of a minus 30? You add 30, and -40 plus 30 is -10. So when you add 30 to each side of the equation, you get -10 equals 5y. To solve for y, you now divide by the coefficient of y, which is 5. And when you divide by 5, you get 1y on the right, and -10 divided by 5 is -2. So the y value, the unknown quantity, is -2. This could take some practice, right? Let's look at number 13 and practice. Here we have a point -3, -2, and a point x, 6. We know that the slope m is 2. And we are trying to find the missing x value. Let's use the slope formula. The slope formula says that the slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So start with the y value of your second point, which is 6, minus the y value of your first point, which is -2. And that's your numerator, 6 minus -2, which is 6 plus 2. In the denominator, we subtract our x values. The x value from the second point, which is x, minus the x value from the first point, which is -3. And x minus -3 is x plus 3. Now, this is a proportion, but it might not look like one right away. If you don't have a proportion or a fraction on one side, think about that number over 1 because 2 is equivalent to 2 divided by 1. So when you cross multiply, you'll be multiplying the 2 times the x plus 3, which is 2x plus 6. Don't forget to multiply the 2 times the x and the 2 times the 3. The other part of the butterfly is this invisible 1 under the 2. 1 times 6 plus 2 is just 6 plus 2, or 8. So now we have our equation to solve. We subtract 6 from each side to obtain 2x equals 2, and then we divide both sides by 2 to find that x is 1. Let's do another example. In number 14, we have the points 0, -4 and x, -7. We are told that the slope of this line is 3 over 2. And we're supposed to find the missing x value. So we take our slope 3 over 2 and equal it to the formula y sub 2 minus y sub 1. The y value from the second point, -7, minus the y value from the first point, -4. -7 minus a -4 is -7 plus 4. In my denominator, I subtract my x coordinates. X minus 0, the x coordinate from the second point minus the x coordinate from the first point. So now I'm ready to cross multiply. In the denominator here, well, let's simplify it first. -7 plus 4 is -3, and x minus 0 is 0. So this equation simplifies to 3 over 2 equals -3 over x. Now let's cross multiply. 3 times x is 3x, and 2 times -3 is -6. Dividing both sides by 3 will give us x equals -2. I can see number 15 and 16 here, but they're not quite finished. Would you like to pause and try to finish them before you resume and see if you've got it? Let's continue. For number 15, we are given that the slope is -9 over 2. So we plug in our points. Y from the second point is y, minus y from the first point is -4, and y minus -4 is y plus 4. In the denominator, we subtract our x values. The x value from the second point, -5, minus the x value from the first point, which is -3. -5 minus a -3 is -5 plus 3. -5 plus 3 can be simplified to equal -2. And so over here on the right, we have this proportion where we've simplified -5 plus 3, and now we're ready to cross multiply and solve. I want you to notice that the slope was given to us with the negative sign out to the side. So then you just have to decide, do you want to put the negative sign with the 9 or the 2? And I'll tell you, it doesn't matter. Your answer will end up the same either way. I've chosen to put the negative sign with the 9. So when I cross multiply -9 times -2, I get positive 18 on one side of my equation. On the other side of my equation, I'm going to multiply 2 times y plus 4. And 2 times y plus 4 is 2y plus 8. Don't forget, you multiply the 2 times the y and you multiply the 2 times the 4. So we get the equation 2y plus 8 equals 18, and we're ready to solve. We subtract 8 from each side to obtain 2y equals 10, and we divide both sides by 2 to obtain that y equals 5. Number 6, we have 2 points where the x value is missing in the first point. The slope is negative 1 over 2. So negative 1 over 2 is equal to, and then we put in this ratio the numbers into the slope formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1. Our y values 3 minus 2. In the denominator, 6 minus x. Of course, 3 minus 2 is just 1, so we can simplify this proportion a little before we cross multiply. You must decide if you're going to put the negative sign with the 1 or the 2. It's a little hard to tell, but I've put the negative sign with the 1. So when I cross multiply negative 1 times 6 minus x, I get negative 6 plus x. And then when I cross multiply the other way, I get 2 times 1 equals 2. So the equation I'm solving is negative 6 plus x equals 2. Now I add 6 to each side to obtain x equals 8. We've got a couple of last examples that you can try if you haven't already. Pause the video, see how you do, and then resume. Let's take a look. For number 17, my slope is negative 4. Once again, think of this as negative 4 over 1. I plug in the numbers negative 7 minus y over 1 minus negative 3, which is, of course, 1 plus 3. When I cross multiply, on one side, I'm multiplying this invisible 1 underneath the negative 4 times negative 7 minus y. And 1 times negative 7 minus y is negative 7 minus y. And then on the other side of my equation, I cross multiply this way, negative 4 times 1 plus 3. Well, 1 plus 3 is just 4, and negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. So the equation that I need to solve is negative 7 minus y equals negative 16. First, I have to get rid of this negative 7. So I add 7 to each side. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0, and the 7s go away on the left. Negative 16 plus 7 is negative 9. Now the negative sign in front of the y is still there. It's a very common mistake to let that drop off at this stage, but that is not gone, it's still there. So we multiply both sides by negative 1 so that we'll have a positive y, and that will equal a positive 9. In number 18, our slope is negative 1/5, and that's equal to our y values, 8 minus 7, divided by our x values, 11 minus x. We can simplify this because 8 minus 7 is just 1. When we cross multiply, if I put the negative sign with the 1 and multiply negative 1 times 11 minus x, I get negative 11 plus x on one side of my equation. And 5 times 1 is 5. Since I'm writing an equation, it really doesn't matter which diagonal goes on which side of the equation. The goal, remember, is to always get x by itself, even if x is on the right side of my equal sign. I need to get rid of a minus 11, so I add 11 to each side. That gives me 16 equals x. It looks like we have 2 more if you want to practice one more time. All right, let's see how you did. Did you get y equals 8 on number 19 and y equals -6 on number 20? Take a look at these and make sure that they make sense to you. If you're still having trouble with this, please see me. So now you have learned to use a given slope and some coordinates to find a missing coordinate between 2 points on the line.